grew up.
Oh yeah, like I bet you Ubisoft tried to get in on this one and they just couldn't quite make it. Also, I don't even know if anyone's working at Ubisoft anymore.
In my research, Ubisoft says ancient Japan would be the worst place to set an Assassin's Creed game.
Well, define ancient. Are we talking, the Tokugawa period, the Sengoku period, pre-Sengoku period? Come on.
This is for sure
I have
not.
no idea.
Yeah, this is for sure not ancient Japan. This is 1274, so it's like the very beginning of.
Well, I don't even think they said that. I think it was just Japan in general, because a lot of people have been asking for it to be set in Japan because
It is weird that they never tried it.
Yeah.
It's especially weird when you consider that, there is a lot of opportunity. I mean, you've got literally Hattori Hanzo as a potential character for the Assassins. It's like, holy shit, guys.
You could have like the ninja were basically just like precursors to the assassin, or like I guess not precursors, but like contemporaries of them. But anyway, like being a ninja is fun. You get to throw big knives and big stars.
Oh, not even that. It's the popular image of the ninja, guy clad in black, running around, that owes more to stage tradition than anything else.
Yeah.
A real ninja is somebody who literally blends in. It's like is that guy with by the rice cart? Is it the woman selling grilled eel over at the stand there?
Unagi.
You never know. Yeah.
That's one of the Japanese words I know. Okay, if everyone could just stop and take a second. Just can everyone breathe in really deeply, quickly? Do you smell that maple syrup kind of smell, the pancake sort of smell around you? That's right. We're already in the podcast. Welcome, everybody, to GameBusters. This is a podcast from GameLuster.com. I'm your host, Nirav, and I am joined today by my lovely co-hosts. Please go around.
Hi.
This was okay. I don't know. I didn't think I'd need to order everybody, but okay. So, introduce yourself in alphabetical order, please.
Oh shit.
Hi, I'm Axel.
Hi, I'm Jess.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
Okay, that worked out. Okay, so anyway, Axel and Jess are here with me from GameLuster.com, and we have our special guest Ryan, who is my good friend from the real world, the meat space. And today we're gonna talk about some video games. I wanna try a new thing to sort of like I don't know, get us started, wean us in. I had this idea, this vision in my head as I was driving. It took over my whole site, which wasn't good. I could easily have crashed, but what I saw was a new segment. So this is called Parks or Rec. So what I want you to do, each of you, is we're going to go around and I want everyone to talk about either a nice visit you had to a park one time or just something you would recommend. Anything. It doesn't have to be a media thing. It can be some product or whatever, or just like a good new coffee you found or something. Like, it can be whatever. So Axel, why don't you start us off?
Okay. Well, since it is averaging about 110 Fahrenheit out here, there's not a whole lot of park stuff going on right at the moment. But I've been wanting to go back down to the Sonoran Desert Museum down around Tucson. It's just a really great facility, very broad number of exhibits. It's got everything from earth sciences to butterfly pavilions to hummingbird pavilions to even a small zoo.
Edutainment.
Just a lot of stuff. I mean, it is literally impossible to get bored at the Sonoran Desert Museum, and I would really love to get back down there sometime this year, if for no other reason than I'm tired of being cooped up.
That's fair. Jess, what you got?
I don't really go to parks that often because I worked in a theme park for about 3 years.
Oh no, tell me about that instead.
You get screamed at a lot.
Is this like a British Disney World kind of situation? What are we looking at?
Oh, Yeah, it's not really. Apart from Towers and say Fort Park, England doesn't really have that many good theme parks. Not like in America where the roller coasters are like the size of the UK itself. Um,
That's
Well, at
true.
least
it,
I actually was. I think I actually looked into that a while ago because I was like, what is the theme park situation in other countries? And like, for the most part, not really. Is the thing.
yeah,
A lot of people in other countries specifically come to America for the theme parks.
yeah. The one I worked at, it was more like a family park, and recently went into administration because of coronavirus. That's kind of like the situation at the moment. But it was rescued because it's kind of like a charity, and some of the rides there are so old that they are considered a historical monument.
wow.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's probably not safe though if the ride is old enough to be a historical monument.
Well, they say it's old enough to be a historical monument, but I don't think it really counts when they've basically replaced it like brick by brick
Oh,
with
the
repairs.
Theseus ship problem.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this still the same roller coaster?
It's not a roller coaster. They've got two. So the park I'm talking about is Wicksteed Park, and they've got the two what that are historical monuments. It's a merry-go-round, and then it's this thing called a water chute. And you know, you know what a log flume is?
Yeah, we have log flumes.
Yeah. I wasn't sure whether it had a different name or something, but the bit at the end of a log flume where it goes down that steep like drop at the end. Basically,
Okay.
this thing's it's called the water chute, and it's basically that part of a log flume ride that's
Right.
been there since like the 1930s.
Huh.
Only the 30s. That's like that's 90 years. It's not quite a century. Usually, for a historic monument that at least here in the states, it's got to be at least 100 years for the most part.
Unless it's a tree in Charleston, and then maybe about 15 will do it. That's a joke for shout out from my Charleston friends. Okay, so Ryan, what you bringing with me? What you bringing here?
Recreationally, I mean, have you guys heard of this thing called alcohol? I don't know. But for parks, there's a creek by my house. It's fun to sit in sometimes. uh, we got paddle boards recently.
I love the idea of you inviting everyone listening to come to the creek behind your house and sit in it.
Dude, honestly, the people in my neighborhood are just inviting everybody over there. So it's
Bunch
it
bunch of folks
wouldn't
sitting
even
in
be that
tubes.
weird.
Is-
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
I mean, I guess for like right now, I mean, I guess that's how you hang out with people is sitting in a creek together. So
Yeah, there's not much to do. I don't
yeah,
know.
is this what it was like in the medieval times?
Well, less less buboes in this current era, I suppose. But
Okay, because they went extinct.
no. The buboes are the blisters that come up when you get the bubonic plague.
No, I think there's those bluefoot birds.
No,
It's not?
blue-footed boobies.
Okay.
No, they're still
They're still around.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
I don't know.
dodos are.
That was just sort of a bad joke all around. All right. I'm going to leave it behind. Everyone, please step with me into the Hall of Fameluster. If everyone could just come with me, please. Follow the red carpet right in. Again, I still haven't really received word on what the Hall of Fameluster is going to physically look like. We're working on the permits right now to get it constructed. Sort of like in an Animal Crossing thing. If you guys want to like contribute like 70,000 of the 72,000 bells we need, and then like I'll just kind of throw in the last 2,000. That would be great.
Can it look like the Kojima production?
Whoa, hold on. That's a very good idea. I like last week it was suggested that it looked like the Animal Crossing museum, but like if it could just look like the Kojima production studio where it's just like everything's chrome and like Squidward's like on the floor screaming future, like that would be very good. Anyway, so the Hall of Fame Luster, like I said, we're here. So this week we're gonna do the most improved, which is this is gonna be a game that is the most improved from its direct predecessor in a series. So I want this to be the one that made people be like, holy crap, like they like perfected this formula, this idea, or like they just like I can't even believe that first one was part of the same series, kind of a thing. So we're gonna run around for a second. So let's see here. Ryan, why don't you start us off? What'd you bring with you?
All right. Um, I think okay. If we can consider that, if we skip the DS games, I think Breath of the Wild is probably the winner from Skyward Sword.
Okay, that's a fair one. um,
I mean, it's just night and day.
yeah. All right. Tell me a little bit about why you think that, because I know we got some Skyward Sword stands in the audience. I'm sure.
Chelsea might be the only one. I mean, I've played Skyward Sword. It has a special place in my heart, but honestly, I didn't have a lot of fun playing it. I thought every other 3D Zelda game was better executed, better polished, better everything. And I know Breath of the Wild is considered almost not a Zelda game, but I mean, gosh, it's just in the top 10 for I know a lot of people, including probably you. So I mean, I don't think I need to. I'm probably not the expert on why Breath of the Wild is one of
Yeah,
the best games ever made, but I think it's pretty agreed.
That's a fair one. Yeah, it's probably well known. I'm a big I Breath of the Wild is genuinely my favorite video game ever made, and I do think it's like kind of the best one ever made. And I do think that, like, I love all the Zeldas, but like, man, I think that like it's so weird. You're right there. Like I kind of like playing Breath of the Wild was kind of like, oh, this all this other stuff that they threw out from Zelda was extraneous nonsense. Like they never needed any of it. Um, but anyway, okay, that's a good poll. Jess, what do you got?
Evil Within 2, like straight away when I saw that question.
Okay, nice. I've only watched a playthrough of the Evil Within and the second one. I have not played them myself. Tell me a little bit about them.
So basically, the reason why I picked this one was because it had a complete genre change as well as like the atmosphere and everything. So the first game, you play as a cop called Sebastian, who I can't remember why they end up in this guy's head, but basically they get transported into this world which is created using this mental guy's brain, and because it's like made from this like unstable brain, it's like falling to bits. It's a horror game, a survival horror game. And the first game was more just kind of like shooting zombies, having fun, like shooting monsters and stuff, and some cool boss battles. But then the second game had a complete mood change where it became a psychological horror, and there was far more like stealth involved. There was far more like creepy bits. I feel like because the tension was more like built up, and the storyline was vastly improved because one of the main issues with the first game is you don't really know what's going on most of the time, and it only kind of like pulls through together at the end. Whereas with the second one, like it hits the ground running basically.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I think it was so the first one's like kind of similar to Resident Evil. You think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was, it
I
was
mean it's the same
heavily based
guy,
off
right?
it.
Shinji
Yeah.
Mikami.
Yeah, and then for the sequel, I can't remember the name of the director, but he had directed one of the DLCs for the first game, and apparently this was quite a good DLC. And because he had done so well on that as his first project, they had him on board for the second game.
All right, that's a good one. All right, Axel, what you got?
Okay, this is going back a ways. Most improved direct from its direct predecessor for me would probably be Jagged Alliance 2. Uh, it was on the PC, never got a console release. Probably would have been tough to pull off, but still would have been cool. The original Jagged Alliance was basically a top-down strategy game. You hired mercenaries, you cleared sectors, you made money to hire more mercenaries, improve their loot. Each mercenary had its own personality, had their own preferences. You know, even cases where if you put two mercenaries together, they might have a personality conflict, or they might get along really really well. But the mechanics in the first game were just freaking terrible. It was a case where if you wanted to try and scum save through combat, you had to actually exit out of the program itself. It was that bad. So Jagged Alliance 2 comes along, everything is improved. It's a shift to isometric viewpoint as opposed to top-down. The sprites are radically improved. The gear system radically improved. Everything is much more accessible. You can see when your people are tired, when they're scared, when they're slowly bleeding to death from a gunshot wound. And the story was considerably better. It still had bugs, including a kind of a game-breaking bug right at the end, but from its original iteration, radically improved. And I don't think it has ever been that good since.
All right, so my entry is Pokemon Gold and Silver. So just coming off of like Red and Blue, like what they improved. I mean, obviously adding like a bunch of features like the fishing and like breeding and being able to select like from your menu, like put things on register things. And so did everybody play Red and Blue like back in the day or like ever? I guess
I did not. I did not get a Nintendo handheld until probably 2010.
Wow.
I played Red Gold and Sapphire Blue.
I don't know if those are real ones.
Red Gold and Ruby Red and Sapphire Blue. That was it.
The
Red
remake.
Gold.
I think
Yeah.
you might have
The remasters, I
accidentally.
guess you'd
Game Boy Advance.
You mean like Fire Red and Leaf Green?
That was it. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
I think those. I think Ruby Red might have been a fan game you accidentally played.
I had green for my first Pokemon experience ever, but it was in one of these like knockoff 50 games in one packs from Malaysia that I got, and I couldn't save, and it was all in Japanese. And I still actually somehow had a good time. I think red was the one I got right after that, but I liked yellow more.
How did you do Pokemon battles when? Did you just go
I-
eeny, meeny, miny, mo with the boxes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the beginning, there's not a lot of choices, to be honest.
Okay, so just to like, I guess get back into what I was saying. So Gold and Silver was just crazy because of, I mean, specifically also the Kanto region, right? So the first game takes place in the Kanto region, and Gold and Silver takes place in the next door Johto region 3 years later. And so you beat Johto, you beat the Elite Four, and all that good stuff. And then you're told that like, oh wait, don't you want to go back to the whole region that you did before? But like it's 3 years later, and like time has actually changed it. Like different people are there. Koga's daughter is the gym leader because he's like the Elite Four now, and stuff like that. And then there was just stuff like the legendary dogs, like running around the whole of Johto, and you could like get attacked by them at any time, and you would just never be prepared for it. And it was just like would keep you on your toes. And I mean, like they fixed a lot of the type chart thing. I think. I mean, fixed is, I mean, in quotes, but it became a lot more intuitive, understanding how the game worked, and then making it clear which attacks used special attack and which ones used attack and defense versus special, and then changing special from being one stat to splitting it into two stats, so it like was made sense and was discernible. But anyway, so that's my thing. Does anyone have anything negative, trash talk they want to say?
No, these are all really solid choices, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's good, I guess. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, I guess, anger, and hatred sort of flowing out between you guys.
Well, I've never played the Jagged Thorn game.
Yeah, I haven't either.
No.
Okay, so.
So I guess that's trashing it.
Yeah, that's our trash talk for today.
Yeah.
Is that I don't even know what your thing is. Meh. Got him. Get out. Okay, so let's pull this together. Everybody, where are your votes gonna go? Let's go ahead and get those locked in.
Definitely gonna put one down for Jagged Alliance 2. I'm gonna put the other one with Evil Within 2.
Okay.
I did get a chance. I briefly met Shinji Mikami at E3 when they were showing off the original Evil Within. He he was standing there at the presentation, plaid shirt, trucker hat, looking like the most normal, slightly hipsterish guy that you can imagine. And then
I
you
bet he
see
smells great.
Evil Within trailer, the demo for Evil Within. It's like,
Nice.
I've only played Pokemon and Evil Within, so that's where my votes are going.
Simple enough. Get those in. All right, Ryan, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna put mine down for Breath of the Wild and Gen 2 Pokemon for sure.
Okay, cool. So I am also gonna put down Breath of the Wild because it is, like I said, like my favorite game ever, and Pokemon Gen 2, which to me is just like so super impressive coming off of Red and Blue. And I guess that makes me the winner of today's Hall of Fameluster contest. So thank you for coming to my own award ceremony for myself. Like I said, the hall is under construction. I've applied with local government for the building permit, so we'll let you guys know when that's ready to roll out. All right, so I guess it's that time. Let's get into Bustums. Today we're going to be talking about the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. So I want to talk a little bit about like Skyrim's history, I guess, first. So it is the 5th game in a series, actually. The Elder Scrolls V, obviously. I think that it's likely that a lot of the general public hasn't noticed the tiny writing that says the Elder Scrolls V above the big Skyrim on the cover. But the first one was called Elder Scrolls Arena, I think, and then Daggerfall, Morrowind, and then Oblivion, and then Skyrim.
yeah.
So Morrowind is now pretty well beloved, but Oblivion was the one that kind of like broke out to sort of the general public, I think. Now, what do you guys think about that? Was Oblivion kind of the thing?
Not necessarily. Morrowind did get a lot of praise because it made the jump to 3D. Comparatively speaking, it was fairly popular, and it wasn't this insane, oh my god, everybody's got to get it, but it built up a really solid following fairly quickly.
Right. So like there were a lot of fans, I guess, by that time.
And then when it was also coming out on Xbox.
Oh yeah, okay.
People were like, oh god, we can have this giant open world game on Xbox.
Right, and even that, like at that time, I think like RPGs kind of were seen as the thing that were like kind of for PCs.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so like.
Yeah, you had your JRPGs like Final Fantasy, Phantasy Star, Star Ocean, and
lots of stars, lots of fantasy.
Yeah, but Morrowind was definitely a departure from the JRPGs that were kind of linked mentally, I think, with consoles.
Yeah, I think like I don't know. I think RPGs back in this time, like the late 90s, early 2000s, were sort of seen as the thing where it was sort of a PC centric idea, and like they were kind of generally inaccessible and were like kind of, I don't know, made to be that way almost. But it's interesting because this is one of the ones that like kind of brought the idea of these hardcore RPGs into console players in the first place. Was Oblivion.
Oblivion, I believe.
2005?
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if just for context on that, like, I don't know if everyone knows this, but a lot of Fallout 3, like, which was this is Bethesda Game Studios, by the way, who made the Elder Scrolls games, also developers of Fallout. So this was when they got the Fallout license. I believe Fallout 3 came out in 2008, I want to say. And Fallout 3 was actually sort of the map from it was a reskinned map from Oblivion. It was the same map. They just changed out the buildings on it and the structures, and then they put new textures over the meshes. But yeah, anyway, that was just sort of some background info. But before we get too far along, I guess if you're into video games, I'm pretty much 99.9% sure you've heard of Skyrim at the very least. But if you're not familiar with it, basically it's an open world fantasy RPG. It's like a first person or third person game. You can switch between them completely, like like a 3D world. And it's kind of just a big sandbox, really. I guess it's there's not like a tight storyline to follow or anything like that. It is really just very concentrated on being open world. Like Skyrim is one of those open world games that is absolutely dependent on being an open world game. Like, it could not exist in some other way.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
anyway, so I guess if you guys played the older ones, did you get Skyrim on day one? Were you like a day one adopter?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
right away.
I when going back to that same E3 where Shinji Mikami was showing off the original Evil Within, they were also showing off Skyrim at that same time, or at that same press briefing. And
Todd was
I
there.
was looking at it, and I was thinking, I was of two minds. Part of me was thinking, wow, this is so pretty. I was admiring how they were handling the technical side of things, how they were doing the draw distances and whatnot, how you could see literally for miles. And it's like, okay, oh, hey, there's a ruin up on that
Is that mountain?
I'm probably going to have to go
Yeah.
explore that, aren't I?
You can climb it.
And that was...
You can climb it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was the...
that was what was said at the CD Projekt Red briefing for Witcher 3.
Yeah, well...
and I kind of wish that they had said something like that in the Skyrim briefing, because it's only half true. You can climb the mountain only if you go up the right
You
path.
have to press Y fast enough, like many times.
At least with Witcher 3, you could, maybe try and take a non-traditional path. You're not like free climbing, but
Yeah.
there are a couple of alternate ways up a mountain.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
I did pop for the collector's edition for Skyrim when it came out.
Nice. My roommate did
and
that.
I do not regret that.
We had the big statue of the dragon in our dorm room my freshman year.
Yeah, but when I first played it, it's like, okay, it looks great, it looks beautiful,
Right?
But why is everything so dumbed down compared to Morrowind?
Right.
I mean, seriously, the Morrowind was the first Elder Scrolls game that I played, and it left a mark because you could do a lot with it. It was very, it could have a very granular kind of hero. I mean, yeah, ultimately you'd get everything up to 100, but
yeah, sure,
you had options. You could really do a lot with it. Skyrim, I quickly determined this is gimped.
Did you play a lot of Oblivion?
I did play Oblivion, not as much as I have Skyrim, and not as much as I have Morrowind. Oblivion didn't get good for me, I think, until Shivering Isles came out.
Yeah.
I mean, Knights of the Nine was cool, but Shivering Isles was the real draw for that one.
Yeah, people love that one.
Yeah. But Oblivion, even then I saw them trying to pare things down, try to make it simpler. And I think part of that was the whole idea of, okay, we need to get this so console players can play it. And
right.
I mean, that was the whole bit for that.
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, like, whether that's good or bad, I guess.
I loved Skyrim when it first came out. I was about 11, and I'm actually replaying it again recently during lockdown. Yeah, but one thing I feel like after playing, I know there was a massive like time gap between Skyrim and The Witcher 3. I think it's a bit unfair to compare them, but after playing games like that, I kind of realized that Skyrim like falls victim of a massive thing called quantity over quality of the quests. There's like a handful of great quests, and then after a while you kind of just keep on being given quests of, I was strolling through a cave full of massive giant spiders, and I happened to drop the family heirloom I was carrying at the time. Could you go and get it for me? I've got like a bad pack.
Yeah, that's sort of...
I think after playing so many games where like The Witcher 3, where even the side quests are really well written and a lot of thought has gone into them, that Skyrim just kind of gets quite boring after a while.
I feel like we're only saying negative things right now. So like, why is this game so famous then?
So for like why is the game so famous? I think that a big part of it is the intro,
Yeah, you're finally awake.
and like I think the intro is one of the most well done intros for especially a game that you're just being dropped in this big world. It kind of lets you know most of the things that you're going to be dealing with for the rest of your playthrough, at least for the main quest.
Yeah, sure.
Um, and then I also think that a lot of the other fantasy games of the same era are trying to be like really edgy and cool and sexy.
Oh my god, yeah.
And
Have you guys
Skyrim really isn't like you're just a guy, you can be anybody, and there's not like, I don't know, hot scantily clad women throwing themselves at you. It's just like a world.
Right. So, if anyone doesn't know what it looks like, everyone please go to Google Images and search for the cover for the Elder Scrolls Arena, please.
Yeah, I already know.
Yeah, no, you know. Yeah, that I think I learned this from the No Clip documentary on Bethesda Game Studios about like Todd Howard saying like, oh, like that like is the thing that like drew my eye to like the cover of the Elder Scrolls Arena, but like what's inside is like not at all that. Like, it's weird. Like I think at the time that was sort of what companies felt that like people wanted from fantasy RPGs, and just based on who they thought their clientele was, whether they were correct around that or not.
It's funny that nobody looks like the characters on the cover. There is no armor in Arena that looks anything like what they have on there.
No, yeah, like and I mean back in the day that was pretty much like what it was though, that because the art was like the cover art was the art for the game. Like it was a lot of pixelated stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
Yeah, you had to fill in the blanks, mentally speaking. But
right, yeah, the images were like 10 pixels, and it's like okay, let me turn this to 40 pixels with my brain. Yeah, but anyway. So yeah, just to like get into the whole thing we were saying though is Skyrim was sort of made to appeal to the masses. Like it took the ideas from the previous games and was like, how do we make this like widely accessible to everybody? People who aren't familiar with RPGs, like people who aren't playing Dungeons and Dragons, and like like CD based RPGs and on their PCs and stuff. And it's yeah, sure. It's I mean there's some benefits. Okay. This happened to a much higher degree with Fallout 4, like for sure, where they kind of stripped away a lot of the RPG elements to make it more accessible. And I mean, I guess it worked. Like Fallout 4 is the best like single RPG, like best selling single RPG of all time. But I don't know, like it's sort of a
double-edged sword.
Like it's a double-edged blade. It's a Darth Maul sword, and the Darth Maul sword says on one end, like, okay, this is like anybody can play this and understand it, and they don't have to like understand the complexities of how like tabletop RPGs work and stuff like that. But the other end of the lightsaber, I guess, is like literally like anybody can enjoy it. And
Yeah.
I mean, like,
So just to go, I mean, I'm gonna have more examples later for another part, but like they took away features to make it more simple, but they didn't really do anything to make the features that they already had flow better or feel better or anything. They didn't improve the features that they already had. They just took some away, really.
Yeah.
okay, so I know this is like a big meme, ha ha ha, but everyone here has everyone here bought Skyrim at least twice, like on two separate consoles?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had
Sadly.
I bought it the special edition for PS4 not too recently. But I'm at a point where my PC is kind of dead at the moment, so
Oh.
I wanted to play Skyrim, and it was out on PS4. So like, yeah, okay, I'll
Yeah, that's how Todd gets you. Yeah, like okay, just for me personally, like I originally played it in like maybe it was 2015 or something. Was the first time, and I played the special edition actually on my PC, and everyone was like, "Oh, you should mod it," and I was like, "Cool, I will do that." And so I got like a bunch of like super not lore friendly mods, but like mostly quality of life stuff, and I did a few like overhaul things, like a lot cooler plants and like a bunch of spells, and got to ride a unicorn, you know, all the stuff that it's missing. And so the second time I played it was on Switch. Like the first one on PC, the modded one, I put like 150 something hours into it. I'm guessing you guys have done
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
hours on this one. But like and then on Switch I put like another 55 60 hours on it, and I did that one with no mods, like a vanilla one, and I surprisingly still really enjoyed it. That playthrough was when I did Dawn Guard, which
Yeah, I really liked the DLCs for Skyrim.
yeah, like
It
they're
was kind
good.
of like the first DLCs I'd gotten for a game where like it felt like it could be its own separate game, especially with Dragonborn, because there was quite a lot of content in with it, and I love how they kind of went back to Morrowind, but not quite like
Yeah.
there with Soulstein and Soulstein, I can't remember.
Dark Souls. Soulsborne.
Soulstein, yeah, and
It's Soulstown, baby.
yeah, Souls of Time, and it was, and in Dawnguard, I love the storyline of how it's kind of like dipped into vampirism. But at the same time, we found out a little bit more about the Snow Elves and what happened with the Falmer, and I love that kind of lore.
Yeah. A shout out to my one true love, Serana, the companion from Dogguard, who is a vampire lady. Who I will also, they took her away from me. You can't marry her in the vanilla version, which was of course one of the first mods that I installed on PC, was to marry her. So Ryan, I know you spent like a ton of time on like the Elder Scrolls games and like diving into the lore and like getting into it. So like, what is it, rather than like recite it back to us right now? Like, I mean, what is it about the lore that interests you so much to get you like reading like that?
That's a hard. See, it's hard for me to put a finger on exactly what it is, but I can just say that, like, I mean it I don't know if the games themselves actually do that great a job compared to any other game that has been out, and you a fantasy game like this, but it's like every little corner has more to it when you look at it. And for some reason I want to look at it. Like, on the surface level, there's all these things happening, and you're just like, what is that? Why do they want to stop the worship of Talos?
Okay.
I don't really get it. And then you like just look a little deeper into that, and you find out all this more and all these words that you don't know, and you're like, what's that? This is confusing. I don't know. But then for me, it just stayed in my mind, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I'm like, I'm gonna try to figure this out again. That's just me. I don't know. I'm sure for a lot of people that's not fun. The other big fantasy world that I've spent a lot of hours in is, and I only realized how much I don't know about it from Nirav recently making this big trivia thing for our D&D group. And I've played 13,000 hours of Guild Wars.
Thousand.
And he made a trivia list for us, and I don't know much about that lore at all, man. But for some reason, I've only played a few thousand hours of the Elder Scrolls, and I just know a lot about it because I find it so interesting.
Love games where you could walk into a room, and if you go on the Wikipedia page for this room, there's usually some kind of backstory to it. From Software do this so much with the Dark Souls series. Like, you'll just go somewhere and there'll be some like deformed beast like lumbering after you, and if you look up online like the name of whatever's like trying to kill you, there's probably some massive backstory behind it.
Yeah. Now, the lore for Elder Scrolls is really dense, but it's dense in a way that is not contrived. I think a lot of it does come from the fact that it's a long-running series, that it has had time to build up a lot of stuff. Uh, you know, again, I started playing in Morrowind, so there was already at least 2 or 3 games, actually 4, come to think of it. 2 mainline games, and then Battlespire and Redguard. So you have 4 games worth of lore already backstopping this thing, and it's really well done. I mean, you get the feeling of, okay, this is right somehow. This feels like it should be in this world, that it is describing a history, that it is describing a religious treatise, that it is describing a piece of you're reading a piece of literature, even though comparatively speaking it's not all that long. It's maybe 2 or 3 pages
Yeah.
total in real text, but when you're looking at it in the game, it feels like, oh yeah, this is a book. This is something that people are reading, that people would be talking about.
And to expand on that, you'll find something and you'll be like, oh, that's cool. I think I get this one event now. And then you'll find another book that says something different, and you're just like, wait, hold on. I thought it was that other thing. It's which one's right? And then now you're back in limbo again. And that's something that I like about the game. I know a lot of people don't like that.
No, I absolutely like it. I like seeing how an event can be described from different angles, even from within what is supposed to be one single polity. You've got the Empire of Tamriel that's covering this entire continent, but it's made up of smaller kingdoms that are vassals to it, and each culture is looking at things differently. So you're going to see a different interpretation of famous battles. You're going to see a different interpretation of notable personalities.
And even beyond that, I mean, do you, Nirav or Jess, do you guys actually know what a dragon break is? I know you've heard the term probably because it was repeated in Skyrim a bunch.
It's when you hit the dragon good.
I don't know.
I mean, in the end, from my understanding, it's really just an explanation from Daggerfall to explain all of the different possibilities that your character could have chosen to do. And instead of just picking one and saying this is canon, they made every possibility true, but only parts of them true, and that's like a timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly dragon break.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not just that some things happened and some things didn't happen. It's that all of them happened to lesser degrees of each other.
Huh.
And what was synthesized out of all of those possibilities is your canon setting now. So
Yeah.
there is an Orsinium, there is Zurin Arctis is dead, and it's just a whole bunch of stuff happening all at once, and it's like, wow.
In the sequel, there's a possibility that both the Empire and the other guys won. Jeez.
The Stormcloaks.
Yeah, Stormcloaks. Thank you.
One thing I do kind of want to I guess I should have asked earlier, but circle back to is if somebody hasn't played Skyrim, how would you describe it to them? Because they're just I mean, if somebody hasn't played it, they probably just know it's some big fantasy game. What is it about it that people are so invested in, even 10 years after it came out? What is it?
That is a good question. I think probably the simplest answer is that you have the opportunity to pick your path outside of the main. You're not being necessarily forced to do the main storyline, but you can do it at your own pace. You can create your own specific circumstances to it. So you can create a Nord who sides with the Empire. You could create a high elf that sides with the Stormcloaks. You could create an Argonian who just
The lusty Argonian maid.
no, well, no, yeah, you could create a lusty Argonian maid who basically goes around marrying all the people and somehow keeping them in separate houses so that they never ever.
It's hard. It's hard work, man. It's almost its own job. But yeah, like I think I don't know. Like I think I would describe it as somebody as more of like like it's like a fantasy sandbox for you to create your own like Lord of the Rings esque fan fiction almost. Is like that. That's how I've utilized it almost. Is like, okay, I can make whatever kind of character here and like pick my companions and go around the world like doing like cool quests and finding these like mythical monsters and stuff, and then just like you get to just live out a story that like nobody wrote for you, right? That's the thing, and I think that's a trait that it shares with like the Fallout games like from Bethesda. Just like the idea is them to give you a set of tools and a world and let you just kind of do the rest of it, which like some will argue is like not great, and I think sure that formula isn't for everybody, but it's something that I personally really enjoy is like being given a toolkit and being able to make a story that the developers didn't know about.
For me, it's the immersion in the game. It's like when you play it, you get put in a different world. And like so much so when I bought it for the PS4 and when the creative Bethesda's new mod thing where you have to buy for mods, what's it called? It's like
The Creation Club. Yeah, we'll get into
Creation
that.
Club.
We'll get into it.
Oh dear. When that first came out, I think everybody got like 200 free credits or something.
Yeah.
And I used mine to buy as a survival mode, a bit like what you get in New Vegas. And because I wanted to create more immersion. It's terrible, by the way, because your character gets hungry after every hour and you'll eat like 5 cheese wheels. They're still hungry.
There's a modded survival mode, which I think is that Frost or something, which is like I can't remember the name of it. I'll
wear warm clothes and stuff.
Yeah, like it's actually excellently done by a fan, obviously. The immersion of it is like not really as much from like it's not like the graphics or anything, are like so good. It's The Last of Us 2, if anyone played it, like that one, that game is so immersive because it looks more real than real life. Like the lighting and the movement of like the grass and like just like all that kind of stuff is so real. It's hard to almost differentiate it from real life. But that's not the reason that like Skyrim pulls people in so much. And I think like the reason is because like it does a good job of like really making a blank slate for you to like put whatever you want on it. And I don't know.
I mean, I like that. Whatever character you make, whatever like skills you decide to choose, people in the game, I mean, just passerbys, usually the guards, like make little comments about it, like your race or like the fact that you're carrying a greatsword or something, and then they'll say something dumb, even though you're level 80, and be like, "Can you even swing that sword?"
Yeah.
And then it breaks it a little bit, but then you get back in.
Yeah.
I love some of the random events, like someone will come and rob you and you're standing there wearing full Daedric armor or all dragon bone armor, like you've killed a dragon and you've made armor out of it, and some guy comes up to you and he wants like 50 quid off you.
But somehow those contradictions are just like
it adds to the charm of it.
Yeah, it just makes
so that's
fun more somehow.
I mean, that's a good lead into this question, which is like what like between this and like and the Fallout games, like there is something like weirdly endearing about like the almost like unfinished nature of Bethesda Game Studios games, and like I'm curious, like what do you think it is about it that grabs people so much? Like because there are, if you want like a hard open world RPG, like there's plenty of other ones out there, like, but something about this formula like keeps pulling people back in, and I mean like even gimping it, like Fallout 4 like sold like way more copies of any game ever. Like it's from what I could understand, like Fallout 4 is like the single best-selling RPG ever. Like I mean, what is it about this whole thing that like is speaking to a wide audience so much and like has made it so like fun for the general public who doesn't normally get into this stuff? Like people who may not be into Dungeons and Dragons or other like tabletop RPGs or harder, like CRPGs on PC and stuff like that.
I think it's definitely the freedom that you get. You can do what you want. Like you'll get given like 10 quests and you can pick which one you want to do and which one you feel like doing. Games like Red Dead, they would want you to play. You get given like 5 quests and you can't progress any further until you've done this one, or this side quest won't become available until you've done this one. Whereas Bethesda games, it's just like the world's your oyster. Like wherever you go, you'll come across something. You can decide whether to pick it up or not. And if you don't want to, that's fine. You can go on your way. Or sometimes you don't even have to do the quest. You can just go and make a farm, or build a house, or you can go and shoot some chickens and annoy villagers. Yeah, and it's the inventory system as well. Like Bethesda just lets you pick up everything that you want. Like even stuff that has no value to it, you can just pick it up. And I love how in Fallout 4 they gave you a reason to do that with the settlement
to build
thing.
things.
And I just love that. It makes you feel like you're more in this world.
Yeah, it really makes you feel like a Skyrim. I want to like see if does anyone have any like interesting personal moments they want to share, like something that maybe stuck with you from your time in this game somewhere?
Blackreach.
Yeah, meeting Parthenax for the first time.
So no, like, well, explain that to anyone who doesn't know what that is.
Oh gosh, the Greybeards like kind of tell you that you're finally able to meet their leader, and you're like, who's this guy that I haven't been able to meet this whole time? And you finally go to the very tippy top of the mountain, and then you find out that
of the world.
This ancient dragon that's not bad somehow, and like he wants to help you, and it's just whoa, the first time for me.
Yeah, that was wild. Cause is it the first time you go up there that Alduin also appears and you like do the fight thing, or is that later?
No,
that's later on. Okay. I remember that being a very cool, epic moment, though, seeing the 2 dragons fight on top of the tallest mountain in the world.
Yeah.
And Parthenax is like, it's me, Mario.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That does bear mentioning that Charles Martinet, I think is his name, who voices Mario, our friend from the Mushroom Kingdom, also is the voice of Parthenax, the ancient dragon king. But he like talks like this, and it's like very, very, very good. I'm sure there's a mod to replace his voice with Mario's. There has to be. Sorry?
Yeah. That or some hidden files somewhere buried.
Oh, you think it's already in there? You think Todd put it in there?
No, I think a sound engineer may have said, "Hey, come on, Charles, do the line." No, I'm not going to do the line. Do the line. Fine. It's a me, Parthenax.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the clip where I think it must have been when they were testing dialogue in Oblivion, and it's got Todd doing the voice acting?
Oh my god, that sounds very good.
It's amazing.
I really want to see that. One like cool thing about this that I've yet to like replicate in any other game, and I will admit this was only like through the use of mods. There's like a very excellent mod called Elysium Estate, which is like a player home, and it is the best player home ever made in any video game. It is. I highly recommend if you were playing Skyrim to go grab that. It basically builds this like ranch home for you out like on the outskirts of the farms in near Whiterun, and it's there's like a hot springs outside. There's like a giant like farm. There's like you can have like farm hands like working there. You can have like rooms for like as many like children as you adopt and like your partners and stuff and your companions. There's a library that you fill with the books that you collect and like can actually see on the shelves. You can put all your weapons and armor up on like weapon and armor racks in like the basement. There's like a fucking wine cellar for all your alcohol. Like, it's so cool. And like the way that I sort of like got so into this game was that like me and my buddy, I had Inigo with me, who was a modded companion and is excellent. Probably is better than any of the real Skyrim companions. And Serana, and like so the 3 of us like
went on adventures and stuff. And so like between missions, I would like have like my kids at home, like with like the farm hands, and like I had like a butler like working at the estate, like taking care of the kids. And like I would like come back and like, you know, we would like relax and stuff for a night, and then like the next morning like go out on another quest kind of a thing, and then like come back. And it was just like this very, very enthralling cycle of like almost mundane like additions to this epic fantasy world, you know. And like I don't know, I got so into it. I loved having that concept of like, okay, yeah, I'm trying to like keep my family like going over here. Like here's the 70 wheels of cheese I've collected. You kids should be good for a week. And like then going out and like fighting a dragon, you know, like it's a cool I don't know, that always like has stuck with me, and it's again not something I've like been able to replicate that feeling in another video game. But like yeah, I don't know, maybe we can steer into the mods with that. So like Skyrim is very famous for being the most moddable game in history. There are, I don't know off the top of my head, like there's some, I'm gonna actually check real quickly how many mods there are. It's a lot, so let's just take a look real quickly.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that the first mod that was announced for Skyrim, that you know may or may not have actually been completed yet. First mod announced for Skyrim, we're gonna do a total conversion to recreate Morrowind, because
every time, it's every fucking time. Like, yeah. Okay, so just quickly, there are 64.2 thousand individual mods for Skyrim, if you want to go grab one of those. Yeah, so as far as what you were saying, yeah, every single fucking time, like a new game, like obviously the Fallout 4 New Vegas mod is still in production. The Fallout 4 Capital Wasteland, where they're rebuilding Fallout 3, and the Fallout 4 engine is also in production. Like, they're always doing this. And of course, like there's an Oblivion, I think there's a playable build where you can move around parts of Oblivion in the Skyrim engine. But it's funny to me that like that's sort of the thing that happens every time. Also, just for reference, Bethesda games are very, very, they're built to be modded. The engine that they're built on is like made in such a way that like it's very easy to alter, and Bethesda actually even makes creation kits for people, for modders to use to release along with the games. So like they're encouraging people. Then I mean that's good that they are, because I think they understand the only reason their games exist or are popular is because of mods.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Skyrim that had the big controversy on Steam with the mods?
Was it because of the which
they
thing?
wanted like a cut. Was
Oh
Skyrim?
yes, that was Skyrim. You're right. That was early on though. That was like 2012 or 13. Yeah. So Bethesda set up a relationship, like a partnership, basically with Valve in like early times after Skyrim came out, because they saw people were modding it, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna do a thing where like modders can like officially license their mods like through us, and like people on the Steam Workshop can like pay them a little bit to like support them, because they do it for free, like you know, out of their passion for the game." And that was their pitch. What it really ended up being was like, pay us $10 for this horse armor, and
yeah, without saying horse armor.
Yeah, without the horse armor. Pay us $10 for this slightly bigger mud crab, you know, and like
yeah.
There was a horrible fan backlash. I think the program only lasted like a few months at most, and they like sort of like disassembled it and were like, okay, you're right, we get it. Like we don't want you to pay for mods. And then 2015 rolls around, and after Fallout 4 releases, they're like, I think I would like some more of the money though, and they started up the Fallout and Skyrim Creation Club, which is a program, which is still running, by the way, which is insane to me. It does still exist. It's not active anymore, but it is there, where modders can officially license their mods through Bethesda Game Studios and get paid by them. And then the idea is that like you're basically buying mini DLCs for things. So like, yeah, and you have to buy it in Bethesda bucks, right? And then we get into the whole fucking two currencies microtransaction nightmare of the mobile game world, where I have 100, like they give you 150 Bethesda bucks, and it's like, okay, would you like the Horsecrab armor? It's only 100. I'm like, yeah, I guess I want armor for my Horsecrab. Sorry, my Horsecrab needs armor, and then you have 50 credits left, and it's like, oh, 50 is like not quite enough to buy anything, but if you spend $10, you can get 1,000 more of these credits. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things. And it's, I mean, like in a word, it's predatory, honestly, the whole system. And the pitch originally for the Creation Club was like, listen, you guys like love these worlds. We're just gonna let the fans like tell their own stories. Like fans can make actual quests for the Creation Club and like get them officially licensed and canonized. Like, isn't that cool? And what a cool concept, right? Of course, never came to fruition. There's only one, from my knowledge, there's only one quest that was added through the Creation Club, which is by the way, great. It was great though. It's for Fallout 4. It's a Tunnel Snakes quest. If anyone played Fallout 3, the Tunnel Snakes, because we rule. And there's a quest that leads you back across like it's like to this place in the crater, and you can see that one of the not the main guy Billy or whatever, one of the other guys, I can't remember his name, is like still alive, right? Because it's 10 years later, and he's crossed the wasteland, and like you have a little like bit of dialogue with him and stuff, and like learn a little bit. There's some fun like references to Fallout 3, and then he gives you a Tunnel Snakes jacket, like. And so you can have one of those in Fallout 4, and it's like canon and everything, and like, hey, that's cool. Unfortunately, this idea just basically became like microtransaction hell very quickly for a $60 game.
Yeah, and and that really bothers me, particularly with Fallout 4, because there's a lot of stuff that has been put up on Creation Club by Bethesda that you kind of think, gee, shouldn't this have been in the original game? Or at least if you're gonna pull this, at least put it in the DLC packs that you were extorting for $15.
Well, yeah, I think the price of the DLC packs could be argued. I don't know if anyone remembers, like, because I'm very into Fallout, but like the original price of the season pass for Fallout 4 was $50. And oh no, I'm thinking wrong, because the original price was $30 for a season pass, and like I'm a big Fallout shill, so I bought it immediately, and I was like, great. Then they, like, about 2 weeks after they premiered that, they were like, oh, the scope of what we're doing is so big that we're actually going to up the price to $50. So they like actually raised the price of the season pass before releasing anything else for it, which was really funny. Yeah, like I even as a big fan of these games, like I and I don't think anyone else can defend a lot of like Bethesda's commercial practices. They have not been great. But yeah, like I think that one thing I want to, I guess, get at from this whole conversation is like mods are the reason that this game is still like alive right now, because like you can still keep reconfiguring Skyrim or Fallout to like be whatever you want it to be. And if anyone's listening and thinking mods are very scary and hard to do, Nexus has made them extremely, extremely easy to do. Like, it's literally like once you get it set up, it's literally going to the mods page and clicking the button and saying okay, and that's the end of the conversation. It used to be much more work.
They're just as easy on Steam.
Yeah, the Steam Workshop is really easy too. Like you just add something. But yeah, so I don't know. Have you guys played modded Skyrim, or did you guys stay vanilla the whole time?
I'm on PS4, so what we've got available is very, very limited.
Yeah,
I did a mod where we get more trees, like, and the one where like it's like an immersion mod where you come across like random people just walking around. So say you meet a guy in Winterhold, like you can see him walking around by Marka. That becomes a little bit annoying at times because you'll get a quest. I'll be like, why is he over there? he's not usually there. And there's another one where it's added more like random battles. So when you go up to the forts, you'll often see the Stormcloaks and Imperials like fighting there, but at the same time, it doesn't make any sense. And a lot of times it becomes annoying because you're just trying to get to your day-to-day thing, and you're just like squeezing through this battle like, excuse me, yep. I just want to come by.
Huh.
yeah. With PS4, the mods that I've that I've picked up are, they're minor things. They're it's pets, it's variant crafting items, that sort of thing. It's not
Yeah.
a, you know, I I honestly have not considered getting a lot of the bigger mods, a lot of the adventure type stuff. Partially because I still have bad memories of of trying to mod Morrowind and having the thing die a horrible death on me. Uh,
Yeah.
Morrowind was very much, adding mods in Morrowind and was very much like playing Jenga. you, know, you pull stuff out, you add stuff in, and you try really hard
Yeah.
not to make the stack collapse.
That's
Yep.
fair. I don't know. So I guess trying to kind of pull this to some sort of conclusion, I think it's. I don't actually think we've said. Do you like recommend this game to people? Like, I know there's like ups and downs of it, but like, what do you guys think? Like,
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good fun game. It's it is simple enough that people who are not hardcore RPG players can get into it and say, "Oh yeah, I'm walking around. I'm occasionally casting spells. Oh crap, I just stole this sweet roll from the annoyed guard who took an arrow to the knee."
Oh, I love that. I love the arrow to the knee. It's so funny when they do the joke. Yeah, like okay, so yeah, like I also think like like Skyrim is like fucking $2 now. Just go buy it. Like I don't know why you don't have it. just try it out. It's okay. No, it's a good game. I think that everyone's like a little bit sick of them re-releasing it.
Yeah.
And like of course we have the PS5 listings for Skyrim have been leaked, of course. So that's coming. Don't worry about that. At the very least, I can say at least that the PS5 version is actually a free upgrade, like / Xbox Series X is like a free upgrade if you already own it. So, I mean I guess that's nice. But yeah, I mean like, we can talk about Elder Scrolls 6 concepts a little bit later. So I want to wrap this up here. Does Skyrim need more or less ghosts?
First of all, the best character in Skyrim is the ghost of Lucy and LeChance. So I'm going to go with more.
Yeah, I love the ghost stories.
Yeah, the ghosts are really good. I think that I think one of my favorite things that happened in Skyrim was, this isn't really a ghost thing, but like finding the abandoned house and like accidentally becoming a slave to like Malrog Bal or whatever his name was.
yeah.
Molag Bal.
Molag Bal, yeah. And
Such a weird encounter, just some shady guy outside the house like, hey, come in here.
yeah, hey, come on in. And then like the house like shakes and screams behind you and you're like, done. I'm out. Yeah, but like I don't know, I think like the supernatural elements, and then I remember there was like a lesser deity that like asked me to like do this like temple for her, which was cool. But anyway, like yeah, like the ghost stuff is fun. Would you count like the what is her name? The mother from the Dark Brotherhood. What's her name?
The Night Mother?
The Night Mother. Do you think she counts as a ghost?
I don't.
Not really. No.
I think, yeah, I've always seen her as more of a. I know she's not a Daedric prince, but I've always like
I mean,
viewed
she
her
has
as
a
more along.
physical
Yeah.
body.
I
Yeah.
guess so. Yeah, I think more ghosts would be good. I think sort of a ghost army would be fun.
Yeah,
Just in the storyline where you come across, you're in the dwarven ruins, and you come across that, I can't remember her name, but it opens up a massive quest where you're looking for these shards because she wants to open up a forge. I love that quest. Yeah, I love the whole idea that the dwarven ruins that you start off in, she says it was the most intact one she'd ever seen. It was like pristine, like as if the dwarves were still living there. And now it's like just fallen to bits, and that's how she died, because she did something and it caused like massive earthquakes that just destroyed it. I love that quest.
Huh. Okay, so I think more ghosts is good. Like, I mean, just kind of toss them in there.
Yeah, well, don't toss them in there just for the sake of having ghosts.
No,
but
I think we should just kind of throw them.
Give me good ghost stories.
Oh, and that one where you're on your way to the throat of the world, and there's I can't remember the name of the settlement, but they're living right next to a Nordic ruins.
Yeah.
And when you go, they say it's haunted, but when you go inside there, it just turns out it's just some guy, and he's been taking a potion to make him look a bit more like ethereal, and then
Yeah.
like spooking people off.
And it's also made him crazy.
Yeah.
That'll happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah. All right. Let's. We've been here for maybe 9 or 10 years, so let's keep on chugging. Now it is time for games. This is the first interesting thing about this game is that I forgot to prepare it, and so I prepared another game while we've been doing the podcast. If there's a part where you heard me disappear for maybe 7 or 8 minutes, that was then. So what I've concocted here is a guessing game for you guys. What I've done, I have we're gonna play a Netflix original series or itch.io game.
Oh God.
Which is I'm very excited about the concept of I have randomized the order of these, so there's no like pattern to it or anything. So each of the titles that I'm going to read you is either a Netflix original series or it is the title of a like small indie game on itch.io, and I need you guys to figure out which one's which.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is Control Z.
Itch.io.
Game. Yeah.
It's just because it's supposed to sound like a game.
It's a Netflix show.
Oh, there we go.
Control Z.
Really?
Yeah, it's a Netflix original series. I believe it's in Spanish.
Point.
It looks like.
Wow.
All right. How about this one? Wizard: Tales of Arcadia.
All right, itch.io.
Yeah.
Game. Yeah.
Game.
That's also a Netflix show.
Gosh.
Are you kidding? Come on.
I feel like I've played that.
I feel like I've seen it somewhere. I swear I've seen a press release for it somewhere.
What's very funny is that like the reason I like thought of this whole idea is that I'm sitting next to my TV, which is like on and like, it's on Netflix and it's doing the screensaver thing where it's flashing through their original shows, and I saw Wizard Tales of Arcadia and I was like, that's not a show. All right. How about this one? Project Cat, K-A-T, like somebody's name. Project Cat.
Itch.io.
Netflix.
I'm going with Netflix on that one.
That is itch.io.
Hey,
Hey, come on, it's a game.
it's a game.
Let's fix cat. All right, how about this one? Stay Here.
Game.
Netflix.
Netflix.
That is Netflix. Stay Here could also be like a very like short indie game about like
That's what I
just
was
having to stay in one place while a bunch of things are happening.
Or like you don't listen.
Yeah. All right, let's try this one. Outcast Lovers.
Netflix.
Itch.io.
Game.
Yeah, that is a game.
Hey.
I thought that might be a fun sort of Netflix series where there's two people like on the road, you know. Okay, Wild Wild Country.
Netflix. I think I've seen that on Netflix.
Ah, damn it. Yeah, it is Netflix. I'm just gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
I tried to pick stuff I didn't think anyone had seen. All right, how about this one? Cable Girls.
Netflix.
You know that one too?
Game. Oh, wow. Netflix.
I'm not sure. I think so.
Okay, all right. Gone Viral.
Netflix.
Game.
Game?
That is a game.
Oh.
Yeah.
What a weird.
All right, let's finish. Let's close out with this one. The Night Fisherman.
Netflix.
Game.
Game.
That is a game. You get to be a night fisherman. You fish at night.
Sounds so fun.
It's good. It has some number of stars, I'm sure, on the website. All right, let's roll off to the end here. Let's everyone please pull out the commemorative Todd Howard coin you should have all received in the mail.
I need to open the envelope here. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, there will be a winking Todd Howard on it. That's how you know that's the right one. All right, so everybody, I want us to go around and tell me like where. I guess like the title maybe or the region, or I guess the title is just going to be the region, but like what do you guys want for the Elder Scrolls 6? Like what region do you want, and like
what kind of vibe do you want it to have? Just like kind of like quickly. So like Axel, what are you thinking?
For Elder Scrolls 6, I would like to see this one. I'd like to see it set in Akavir, completely removed from Tamriel, different continent. Uh, from what I got, it had a very Asian kind of vibe to it. The reason that you have Blades operatives running around with katanas and whatnot in Skyrim is because those were Akaviri weapons.
Okay.
I would like to see them, see what they do with that, where everything is changed over, where they just kind of throw everything out the window for once and have fun the same way they did with Morrowind, because that was, I think, a lot of the big appeal with Morrowind. It was not your typical European fantasy situation. I love me some Skyrim. I love the Norse trappings and whatnot, but sometimes I just want to see something completely out there.
Okay, yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
All right, I think like having like a little bit of like Chinese influence on the architecture and like stuff like that would be so interesting to see in that world.
Well, not just Chinese, but Tibetan.
Yeah, sure.
Indian. Even Khmer would be interesting. Go crazy, guys! You have this whole continent you've played up for 5 games now.
Right. Like this,
take us there.
Yeah, and Skyrim is huge, by the way, and of course if you count all the different versions of Skyrim together, it's the best selling RPG, single RPG of all time. But so what I'm saying is there's a huge audience to hit with this next game.
And Elder Scrolls 5, I think Todd said one time, was actually supposed to involve someone returning from Akavir, and lore people will know who that is.
We're my lore people out there, you know what I'm talking about.
Very exciting story that is possibly taking place over there. So that would be a really exciting place. I agree with that.
Okay. So Ryan, what do you think for your wish?
I mean, I would put it on the Somerset Isles, and I want to see the political drama there. I want to join a resistance against a Thalmor, and then I want to do something that's never happened in any of the games, and something like metaphysical to restore the tower there, and more people will know what towers are. But every game involves a tower basically, and they all get destroyed, and the elves are winning this like metaphysical battle for reality.
Uh-huh.
And I just want a game where the good guys get a win.
Yeah, let's
I mean,
just...
good guys is another controversial term, but there we go. Yeah, and I want it to be called like Elder Scrolls 6 Restoration or something.
Oh, okay. Kind of deviate away from that. Get back to the arena. Okay, Jess, how about you?
I heard a big rumor that it's supposed to be set in High Rock and where the orcs came from. So, like a bit of both. Apparently they're at war with each other or something. But where I'd like it to be set would be either elsewhere, or Black Marsh, because especially Black Marsh, because I've heard there's Argonians can like breathe underwater to explore like underwater areas. So I'm just thinking like an Avatar 2 situation where you've got massive like
they're sort of the Gungans of this universe.
Yeah, like underwater caves and stuff. That would be really cool, where most of the world is actually like underneath the surface.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
That does sound cool.
So exploring jungles, marshes, sinkholes. Yeah, that would be really kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like personally for me, I've been enticed by the idea of Valenwood, and like having it be this like densely forested world, but like with a much bigger focus on like a lot of like creatures roaming these forests, like, and having it be, I guess, a much more undeveloped world. Like, sure, having these urban centers here and there or whatever, and like these walled off cities and things, but like I like the idea of like being in this enchanted, like this straight up like fantasy enchanted forest between the cities, like having that like danger of not knowing like what the rules are and stuff like that, of how things work and how nature operates here, and having to sort of learn like what this world is like and like how to survive in this forest. Not specifically making it a survival game or anything, but like just like what I don't know. I like the idea of being like super like blindsided, seeing a bunch of creatures that have never been seen before and stuff like that. And I like the idea of it being in this like this magical like forest and having some of that kind of stuff.
That would be interesting. Having trees that are wandering around like long necks on their own
Yeah.
orbit there.
Fuck,
And-
throw some Ents in there. I don't care.
I mean, the most exciting thing about Black Marsh would also be the hist-trees, like getting down
Yeah.
to see one, like,
Yeah.
in action maybe.
Yeah.
Super cool.
So like as a quick bonus for you guys, does anyone have like a dream, like if you could let any developer
For a guest developer, if you wanted to, hand the reins over to somebody else temporarily, hand it over to Firaxis.
what did they do? What are they known for?
Civilization,
Okay.
XCOM. I mean, it's Sid Meier. Come on.
Yeah.
How what would Sid Meier do with an Elder Scrolls?
Kind of getting a larger scope of what this world is like, I guess. Okay, cool. I don't know, does anyone have any ideas?
Hideo Kojima,
Yes.
because he
yes.
achieved
Oh,
what
wow.
Todd could never.
Oh God.
You can climb that mountain in Death Stranding. You can climb
You can
it.
climb the mountain. Ah!
You're not just rubbing against it until you eventually like get onto a tiny little ledge. No, you can climb that mountain.
Yes.
I choose Tail Worlds.
Uh-huh.
They make Mountain Blade, which I think is the best like sword, bow, shield combat in games right now, in my opinion.
Okay. I very, very much want, as with every franchise ever, I think, I want Arcane to do it. The Dishonored, Prey people.
Yeah.
Because they're my favorite studio, for sure. And I think they would do such a cool job, like, getting, like, that action combat down with, like, the combination of magic and, like, conventional weapons, which is what they do best. Just, like, get, like, a little bit, like, tighter. Like, this probably, it wouldn't be an open world thing. It would be a little bit, like, tighter than that, but... Just, like, can you imagine, like, being in that world and getting access to all those, like, wide variety of spells like that? Oh, that'd be so cool.
Thief Guild would be so much better with
would.
their, like,
It might have real
mechanic.
thieves in it.
That's not a mechanic, yeah. Like, you can actually do proper stealth kills in Dishonored, whereas in Skyrim, like, if you try sneaking up on someone most of the time, like, if you go to hit them, it just kind of clunks them over the head. They're like, ow! But with, like, Dishonored, you can actually do, like, a sneak-up kill.
Yeah, I do want to mention real quickly, I'm sorry we glossed over this. I think one of the cool things that makes Skyrim very different is that their leveling up system works very differently from really any other game I've played, where, like, you get better at something by doing it, not by upgrading it and then, like, utilizing that power. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to get better at, like, longswords, you need to use your longsword, and you'll just get better at it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oblivion was great with that. Just, like, leveling up your acrobatics by just jumping
By just
around
jumping,
the place.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
that's it's like a fun like meme-y thing almost, but like in Skyrim, if you're crouching and you just like walk around the world like that, you'll get like maximum stealth just by like walking around crouching.
That one shout where it like lets them know that you're around but not where you are. That's the best.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk about the fact that you scream at people to make them die.
Oh yeah.
I just finished the Thieves Guild quest when I found that shout. I was like, no, I could have just used that.
I should have probably mentioned this earlier. Does anyone have like a specific favorite quest they want to shout out from Skyrim?
Oh gosh. You reminded me of it when you were talking about the guy who like is just like, hey, come in here. Let me show you
Yeah.
something I got in my basement.
Hey, I got a cool thing.
Check out my house.
I like when you get to be that guy and
Yeah.
lead people to the shrine of both Thea.
Yeah. I actually really enjoyed I know like people like are mad because it wasn't as good as Oblivion's, but like I really enjoyed the Dark Brotherhood stuff in this. Like I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Cicero's dumb and I liked killing him.
I love the Thieves Guild one just because Mercer Frey is like the dodgiest guy in the world. And they're like, someone's betraying us. We've got to work out who it is. And in the end, it's just like, what is Mercer?
Mr.
Like,
Jenkins.
The Thieves Guild was at least as good compared to Oblivion as as people think Oblivion was compared to Skyrim.
Yeah.
Probably the best quest I really enjoyed was A Night to Remember. Was the Daedric quest for Sanguine.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good. The
You,
yeah.
you get drunk, you wake up in Markarth, and you have done some.
It's basically The Hangover.
It is the Hangover, but it's so well done,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and Sanguine, even at the end, he gives you the staff, and he says, you ask, what was all this for? And he says, I get drunk, I make bad decisions.
Yeah. All right. Let's round this out. So I want to shout a quick thanks to Todd Howard again for making video game. I'm sorry. I know we're like this has sort of become like a Todd centric podcast, even though like I don't think any of the games have been made by him until now. I don't know, Ryan. Why don't you tell me if somebody didn't know who Todd Howard was, what would you say to them to explain?
I think he gets a lot more shit than he deserves because he's the face of a company. But
Yeah.
other than that, I think he's a guy that really does. He's a game developer that really does, in the end, care more about the game than money.
I agree with you, and I mean, like, I think if you look a lot into it, you can see that, like, I mean, he's a game developer, right? Like, he's not the one making the financial publisher decisions at Bethesda Softworks. Like,
Yeah.
that is a board of people in suits. But yeah, he like being the face of a company gets you a lot of extra flack for anything. I want to also give a quick shout out to like a favorite video series of mine that I know Ryan has seen, called Touch the Skyrim from Polygon. It is very good. It's just two guys kind of like modding Skyrim and one of them going through it for the first time, and it is some of the funniest shit I've seen in my whole life. I highly recommend it to anyone who's played Skyrim. All right, so let's wrap it up. Thank you everybody for joining us. And GameBusters, make sure to visit us at GameLuster.com. We are picking up our YouTube channel. I've got a few of them out. I've got a few new videos out. I got something for Fallout 4 out. I've started a new series, the Super Mutant Variety Hour, where we're going to sort of just explore Todd's Wasteland. Yeah, does anyone else have any upcoming things they want to plug?
Not
Jess?
yet.
Yeah, not really. I'm still working on getting a couple of novel drafts edited, so
Okay,
nothing
nice.
really to plug per se.
That's pretty cool. Jess, what are you working on right now? What's your big project?
Well, I'm also writing a book, but I'm like
Wow,
a page in, and I have been a page in for about a year, so
interesting.
we'll forget about that. The George R. R. Martin.
Yeah.
Like, only like I'm George R. R. Martin without having done anything like good, like
Sure.
previously that people are waiting for.
Yeah, just we need to get you into NaNoWriMo.
Yeah. I have just written an article about gender, whether females play video games. That's worth a read.
That was a good article. I liked it. You should check it out. By the way, it turns out that women can still sell video games too. What?
Yeah, shocker.
It's
I know.
wild. I don't know. That's what the numbers say. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. This whole time I've just been buying them because there's a guy in it.
It's anyway, but all right. So great. I guess we'll wrap it up then. Thank you everybody for sticking with us. I guess that I won the Hall of Fameluster contest finally. So I'm gonna take us out on something. I guess my signature sort of catchphrase. Serana is my OTP with myself. That's true.
The last word that I had prepared.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you. It was just see that game? You can bust it. Todd Howard 2020.
Oh wow, that would have been good. That's too bad. Maybe I'll edit yours in instead of mine.